Hello, YouTube. How is it going today? Happy weekend. I am super excited for the weekend. You guys know I got pretty sick. I think it was on Sunday, and I took Monday off, and then I felt really shitty like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then finally yesterday I started to feel normal again, which was really nice. Today I went on a bike ride in the morning just to get something from my office, and it was good, but like the bike lanes were pretty clear, but then the roads leading up to the bike lanes were not clear. And so like I would go through like big slush and like piles of snow, and my poor bike was like, "Oh," and I almost fell over a few times. So like it was fine. I didn't fall over, but I was close. But I was like, I'm going so slow that you just put your foot down and then you're fine. Hey Lori, how's it going? Thank you for joining. Today I'm excited to do an Amway video that I've been wanting to do for a while that I just haven't been doing. I just haven't been doing because I was sick, and then I had technical difficulties and it was really, really annoying. So I'm excited to finally be able to do it now. It was a tough ride, Lori. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you would know, like, over a year, probably like a year and a half, I've done videos about an instance where Dexter, Yeager, and Birdie received like $3 million on stage because they hit 60 FAA points, which you only hit if you have a certain number of, sorry, in Amway, this is Amway. I didn't even specify that. This is Amway. You only get FAA points if people underneath you, like your direct recruits, hit a certain rank. And Dex and Birdie got to 60, and they got $3 million on stage and a bunch of other outrageous, crazy prizes. And so I did one stream a year and a half ago, probably, about that. And then actually the speech where we heard Rich DeVos with the Clown Town, probably last month, that was from the same event. And now we're going to hear Doug DeVos, the son of the founder, at the same event, kind of like pre-introducing Dex and Birdie to get their fancy ass awards. And I just think it's cool. I think it's cool that while I'm trying to scour the internet searching for Amway content, I'm like, oh, there's kind of a storyline here, all from the same event. I think that's cool. Hey Lisa, how's it going? So this is just a speech. It's not a video, but there's going to be some cringy ass quotations in the background and cringy ass pictures. It's from someone called Millionaire Mentor. I do not know who the Millionaire Mentor is. I don't really care. I looked it up and then I got bored, but this is on the Leaders of Life YouTube page, which I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're affiliated with Amway or not. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Good evening. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Boy, it's a tremendous honor to have the opportunity to be with all of you tonight and to be able to talk a little bit about this business.
I don't believe that Doug DeVos, son of founder Rich DeVos, actually truly thinks it's an honor to be in front of all of these most likely low-level Amway distributors, in my opinion. When you see these big MLM distributors or founders, they always say things like that. Like, I'm so privileged to be here with you. I can't believe I have the honor of talking to you today. It's like, you don't actually think that. You don't actually think that. You are just happy that they paid you money, that the butts are in the seats, and like, that's all that matters, in my opinion. Let's actually let them talk for more than 2 seconds.
About the potential that all of you have with your business and what the future can look like. I'd like to...
Okay, I'm going to turn off the closed captioning. Do we really have potential in this business? No, unless we can recruit, unless we are really high up in Amway and we have our own Amway tool scam company, like, we don't really have potential. We don't. And Doug knows that. Doug knows that. Rich knew that, and of course Dexter and Birdie know that. But the way that he's going to talk about them, it's like they are the most angelic, charitable people in the entire world. And it's like, calm down. They just recruited a lot of people and founded the tool scam. Like, that's all they achieved.
Tonight, do something just a little bit different than I've done in the past. I'd like to kind of frame some of my comments tonight around two things. One would be the values.
Being male is a matter of birth. Being a man is a matter of age. Being a gentleman is a matter of choice. Millionaire mentor. I'm just listening to what Doug is saying, and I actually have to pay attention to the cringe ass quotes in the background too.
Of this business. Many years ago, our families got together and began to talk about what are the things that are important and in making sure.
Have patience. Great things take time to build. Just like Amway. Why do you think you are going to magically find magical success in Amway? Success takes time. You got to sacrifice. Even though if I come into Amway based on like the promise that you made that I'm going to get rich quick, it's not a me problem when I'm questioning why I'm not making money. It's a you problem because you did not verbalize, you did not clearly lay out what kind of expectations I should have. So it's your fault.
We always preserve, especially those of us in the second generation. And we talked.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm going to let him talk, I swear. So he said Rich DeVos, Jay Van Andel, they met years ago and talked about the values they want to preserve in the Amway business, especially those for the second generation. Again, if you've been on my channel for a while, I did a really cool stream called the Amway Amway Founding Families or something. I did a stream where I talked about the different generations of the founding families of Amway. Generation 2, they are the sons of the founders, sons and daughters of the founders. They call themselves G3. G3 are the grandchildren of the founders. Okay. And it's just so interesting how there's like no other MLM talks about the founder as the founding family. Like, do you call like the Deiklers the founding family of Beachbody? It seems a little bit culty in my opinion. But that video was super interesting because they talked about, or I don't know if I brought that up in that video, but there are two distinct founding families in Amway. There are the founding families who followed Rich and Jay from Nutrilite to Amway in 1959, who started the Amway Distributor Network. And then there are the founding families like the DeVosses and the Van Andels. Oh, thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. That's so nice. I feel like I'm not letting him talk and it's only been a minute. And I also have it sped up too because he talks really fucking slow. And it's only been a minute, less than a minute, and I've talked for like 1,000 years.
To my father and Jay Van Andel, and we said, we'd like you to talk about those a little bit because we don't ever want to forget them. They talked about the values. And they said, it's about partnership. It's about integrity. It's about personal worth and personal responsibility. It's about achievement and free enterprise. Those are kind of the themes. And I'd like to expand on some of those tonight. Those are the values that we've put in this business. But I'd like to frame them around what I've observed in my life in the way that Dex and Birdie Yeager have built their business and have helped people all over the world. That's what I'd like to do tonight.
How many members of the Yeager downline actually made a livable income? Amway folks are furries. Isn't it so silly? Like, I don't know what these quotes are. Like, they're so silly. I just wanted the speech. I thought the speech was cool, but this stuff in the background is so weird. I don't stop when I'm tired. I stop when I'm done. Like, yeah, work through exhaustion, work through mental health challenges to just keep pushing for your Amway dream, right? I feel like we could just have a whole stream and I'm going to listen to Doug just based off of these useless quotes in the background. But my point was, in the Yeager downline, no one was actually making any money. Yet Dex and Birdie got incredibly wealthy through the double victimization of the members of their downline, of course, because people were victimized and taken advantage of financially to enter into Amway, and then also through Dex's Amway tool scam company. That's how he found success. He did not care about people. He did not have integrity. He liked to say, like Lisa said, they perpetuate the myth that MLM is a family. They like to say, I think of them as my kids. Like Dex said that in the 1980-ish 60-minute segment. He said, I love them. They're my kids. No, you don't. You don't love them because if they left, you would not talk to them anymore. You wouldn't, sir. You wouldn't.
And I want to start with integrity. Integrity is, in a personal sense, I heard that one of the better definitions that I've heard is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. And that certainly describes Dex and Birdie and the entire Yeager family. I also think of it in a structural sense, like a building like this. It's built with integrity. It stands the test of time. And I think when we look at the future in this business, I think we can look at this business with a sense that this business has integrity built into it. Now, let's not confuse the issue. That doesn't mean we're perfect. We make mistakes. I certainly do. Lots of them. Just ask my wife. Just ask my
He was addicted to drugs for years, in and out of jail, and almost ruined his career with his actions. Then he
kids. Just ask my parents. Hopefully they don't remember them anymore.
Gets clean, plays a superhero, and becomes of the most generous.
There's a statute of limitations thing that's working on my side.
Sorry, and respected men in Hollywood. I just want the speech. Do you think we should just listen to the speech and ignore the videos? Because the video is really distracting. The business is not built with integrity. There's no way that you can build an Amway business and actually have success with integrity. People feel like they can do MLM differently. I'm sure a lot of people enter MLM thinking that they're actually going to help, that they're going to make a difference in people's lives, and then you quickly realize you are not. And then when you realize you're not helping and you're actually hurting people, then you're kind of at a crossroads there. You have to determine whether or not you want to continue working, whether or not you want to continue pushing. And even though you know people are going into debt around you, people are failing, or if you want to leave. So yeah, Lori said it is distracting. It is for me too. Hi, Sherry. How's it going? Thoughts on just this, and then I play it because I'm still sharing my screen, but we're not going to get distracted by the speech, by the pictures, because the pictures are stressing me out. What do you guys think? Let me know. Yeah, you can't ever stop because you won't ever be done. You can't ever be content and happy with where you are because like you need to get to the next level because Dex and Birdie got to 60 FAA points. And so we need to want to get to 60 FAA points as well, right? Even though it's impossible, even though it took them like 40 years to get to 60 FAA points. But if you watch that old ass video of mine, he's like, oh, since I did it, that means you can too. It's like, sure, if we stay in for 60 years, why am I annoyed? Okay, so I think this should still work because I shared the screen, but I just clicked my face instead of having the video on. I'll play it for like a little bit. And can you guys tell me if you can hear it? Same, Lisa. Okay. Tell me if you can hear it, okay?
Side there. But I think when we talk about the integrity in this sense, I'm talking about a business that stands the test of time. Certainly for any of you who are new in this business, any of you who are looking to your future in this business, you've seen our history with the transition of generations. And I want to assure.
We can hear that? Can we hear that? Please let me know. So integrity means it's a business that can stand the test of time. I was going to say Amway is not standing the test of time, although they were founded in 1959. This was, I think, like 2009-ish, 2007, 2009. So even back then, what did Lori say? Yes. Okay, good. We won't have the annoying pictures. Like, yes, sure, by this point, it was their 50-year anniversary. They could stand the test of time. They could say they stand the test of time because it was 50 years, but MLMs, they're not stable. The legal environment can change quickly, and then before you know it, you no longer have your livelihood. You no longer have this community that you think you've built because of Amway, and it's just all out the door.
assure you that that will continue for generations into the future. In fact, I tell you, we're just getting started at this business, right? We're just getting it started. And when we look at the things that Dexter and Birdie have done and the way that they've built their business, it's incredible to see the integrity that they've put into it, the dedication and the commitment that they've made every day, and the fact that they're just getting started. You know, that's all about this business, because no matter what challenge you're working through,
you cannot be at the top of an MLM and build it with integrity, because you know people below you are suffering financially and mentally, and on like a separate level with Amway, they are suffering financially because of it being in your Amway downline, but they're also suffering because they're buying into your Amway tool scan company. So there's no way to build it with integrity when the industry itself is so unethical.
No matter what success you may have had, we still have to get up the next day and continue to do it again. We have to have an attitude and a mindset and an understanding that this business stands the test of time. And so that every day we need to rededicate and recommit ourselves to making it the best it can be. That's what the Yeager family does. That's what we do at Quickstar. Steve and I, when we come together on a regular basis, we're always saying, what can we do to make the business better? What can we do to improve? What can we do to keep up with the changes that are happening in the marketplace around us? Integrity. A business where we will change with the times because the market's always changing. Products come and go. Things are always happening. But has the bedrock and foundation of values that will never change.
Foundations and values, free enterprise, hard work, faith, family, rewards. So what are the name changes of Amway over the time? Amway name changes, because he was referring to it as Quickstar. And we know it's changed. We know it's changed over time. And so here it says Quickstar replaced the North American business of Amway in 2001 after the majority of distributors moved to Quickstar, with Amway operating in the rest of the world. The move unified the various Amway companies worldwide. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Do you understand that? Share this tab instead. Oh, but you can't see it because it's just my face. This is just Wikipedia. I want to know. Okay, so it's formerly known as Quickstar North America. I want to know about the name changes and what that actually means. The Alticore Corporation owns both Amway and Quickstar, plus several other concerns. What does that mean? Quickstar. So I thought they just changed their name to like bring attention away from the negative connotation that Amway has for majority of people. But do you think was Quickstar like a separate company? Was it a separate company? I don't really understand. But the Quickstar thing, I don't understand it either. Yeah, in 2001, after the majority of Amway IBOs transferred to the new company, Quickstar completely replaced Amway as a marketing venture for Amway Alticore products in North American regions. The Quickstar business model differs from the earlier Amway business model in many aspects, such as the distribution is performed as well as the products and services offered through partner stores. Rather than ordering a product from a distributor who delivers them in person, Quickstar customers can place orders online and have the products shipped to them directly. In mid-2007, however, Quickstar announced they were phasing back in the Amway name over 2 years and discarding the Quickstar name. Along with the rebranding campaign, Amway Global is investing over $580 million into both increased compensation for IBOs and extensive advertising of the new brand name. Okay. I don't really understand, but it used to be called Quickstar. Share. Okay. Go back to just my face and then share this tab instead. Okay, let's keep going.
And for those of you who are looking to your future, I think that's an important point to understand. You know, we're getting ready to celebrate the 50th anniversary of this business. And we're looking forward to 100 years of this business in the future. We want to make sure that we are building it right.
And let's remember, everything he's saying is related to Dex and Birdie Yeager, who have passed away. They're no longer with us, but He's talking about he's referring to the fact that the Jaegers really embodied the Amway Quick Star values, right? Of loyalty, of helping others, of impact, of I don't know, integrity, right? And that they're building their business right. Like everything he's saying is related to Amway, but he's directly connecting it back to the Jaegers.
The next points or the values I want to touch on are personal worth, and I want to link it with personal responsibility. We've spelled them out both, but tonight I'd like to make sure we understand the linkage and the balance for the responsibilities that we have as individuals, that you have as an independent business owner, building your own business, looking to your own future. In this business, we talk a lot about setting goals, and it's critical that you do that we all do that we look to the future and say, here's where I want to be. And that when you do that, you understand the work that you're going to have to do to get there. It's not just magic. It's not just going to happen. You got to put the pieces together.
I don't think anyone joins Amway assuming that it's just magically going to come together without them actually having to do work. And if they think that it's going to be easier than it actually is in reality, it's not their fault. They're not lazy. It's because people like Dexter, they lied. They really sold the dream because Dexter taught you to sell the dream. They sold the dream. They showcased their brilliant wealth and all of the trips they get to go on and made it seem like if you join me now, you too can get this level of financial success. Even though the vast majority of Dexter's wealth did not come from his Amway downline, from the comp plan, it came from the Amway tool scam. And he's saying, oh, just you're not going to magically achieve your goals. You have to make a plan. I think that's obvious. Like a lot of people in Amway conferences, they just like to say random things that are obvious that majority of people understand and make it seem like it's a huge, profound thing. I don't understand.
You know, Steve and I serve on the Gerald Ford Foundation, and for many years, unfortunately, it hasn't happened as regularly recently, but we get the trustees of the board together in Washington for a dinner, and many people from the Ford administration would participate in the organization. And recently, a few years ago anyway, we were listening to Donald Rumsfeld talk about the things he's doing at the Defense Department. Because the Defense Department for so many years was built to fight the Cold War. And then we know certainly what's happened to our country in recent years with the terrorist threat. And he said, you know, all the things you have to do strategically, from getting an organization that was built to go this way to turn in a new direction. It's a tremendous task.
So the Defense Department in the United States in the early to mid 2000s struggled to adapt and change its direction to not just focus solely on the Cold War. And maybe he's saying that Amway is actually able to adapt, it's able to change, like you said earlier, to keep up with the market and innovations and what the distributor / customer base actually wants. And he's also therefore insinuating that Dex and Birdie are also able to change and adapt. Of course, they're able to change and adapt because they know what they need to do to remain as multi-millionaires. Of course they do. And Doug is not standing up here talking about like how Dex and Birdie just embody all the values of Amway because he just likes them as a person, as people. He's doing it because they make Amway millions and millions of dollars a year. Yeah, who is Donald Rumsfeld? Donald Rumsfeld. He is... He was... Okay, sorry, I don't know who this is. He was an American politician, government official, and businessman who served as Secretary of Defense from 75 to 77 under President Gerald Ford, and again from 2001 to 2006 under President George W. Bush. And there's a big emphasis in Amway on the free enterprise system. And it's interesting because there's not such a focus on that in like for other MLMs. So I just want to look at what free enterprise exactly means. I literally just typed in free enterprise meaning because we did hear Doug talk about that as one of the Amway values. Free enterprise refers to business activities that are not regulated by government but are defined by a set of legal rules such as property rights, contracts, and competitive bidding. The argument for free enterprise is based on the belief that government interference in business and the economy hampers growth. And I think this is embodied in Amway through the attitude that if we're unhappy with where we are in life, if we think we are living in poverty, we cannot expect Amway to just give us a handout, to give us charity. We can't expect the government to help us. It's on us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and work hard to achieve the American dream, which is really interesting. It's just interesting that there's just such a focus on patriotism, free enterprise, individual responsibility, and not looking to blame anyone else for the misfortunes that we're experiencing in our Amway business. And other MLMs don't say, oh, we're pro free enterprise. They don't say that directly, but they do. That kind of attitude is still quite prevalent nowadays. They won't say, oh, government sucks, no government, but they will say things like, well, if you're still poor, it's your fault. You can't expect us to save you. You have to want it yourself. And it's the same kind of thing, right? Okay. Sorry, I have to keep going back and forth.
Well, sometimes in our lives, especially when you're presented this opportunity, you're faced with a tremendous task as well. So many times society wants to send us down the road and just kind of head in this direction, and all of a sudden you have an opportunity to do something different with your life. And it may be a huge shift for you. I want to encourage you to think about that shift. I want to encourage you to dream about what your future can be. I want you to think of the example that you have in this organization with Dex and Birdie, who many years ago made a shift, made a decision, and made a commitment to go in a direction. But it's a balance, I said, in this business with your...
They did not find success because they were able to make a shift and go in a different direction. When did they start? When did Dexter Yeager start in Amway? I think it was 1960 something, 1969. He started 10 years after it opened. He was successful because he got in early, sir. That's why, not because he's so full of integrity and drive, because he was one of the lucky ones and he co-founded the freaking tool scam. MLMs in the USA have fought against any type of government regulation for years, for sure. And I think technically Canada is considered a free enterprise system, even though there is more of an emphasis on social safety nets, on universal universal healthcare. So I don't really think Canada's truly a free enterprise, although I think it's categorized as such for some reason.
Personal responsibility of setting your goals and setting out in a direction. But in this business, we kind of turn the business world upside down. Because for most businesses in the world, that's where it stops. You set your goals, you go after it, and if you have to step on people along the way, and if you have to do things that aren't really pleasant, you do them because you have your goals. That's not the way it works.
Sorry, I should let him finish. Sorry.
In this business. In this business,
that's literally how it works in all MLMs, sir. You have to step on people to make money, because if people aren't at the bottom of the pyramid beneath you, you are not going to make any money. So that is the literal definition of MLM. People have to suffer below you for you to get rich. The vast majority of Dexter's massive ass downline suffered and lost money so he could be a multi-millionaire.
The most successful people are those who understand the worth of every individual in this business. The most successful people are those who encourage people that they work with to set their own goals and then dedicate themselves to helping others achieve their goals. The most successful people in this business are the best at helping others achieve their goals. Especially
No. The most successful people are able to recruit the biggest number of people who hit and maintain certain ranks so I can rank up and make more money. They don't need to have any level of success because we know diamonds in Beachbody don't make money, that they just need to maintain their diamonds. So you say, oh, I have so many successful people underneath me. Look at all these diamonds. Sure, they're successful in rank, but are they making enough money to live? Are they breaking even, or are they going into debt every single month for you to maintain your rank? We don't need to help people. We just need to make sure they get to a certain rank and they stay there. Hey, Anastasia, no worries. How's it going? Nice to see you. We are just listening to an Amway speech because the pictures on the screen and the quotes were very distracting to us. So we're just going to stare at my face. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for joining.
Especially people who are new to this business, who are just starting in with Quickstar in the very beginning and trying just to make a little bit of money. To make sure that we as an organization, that leaders are saying, how can we help you get started? How can we help you make that positive first step? And again, I think it's pretty easy to look at Dex and Birdie as an example. And what they have done to recognize the value and worth of every individual in their business as they brought their business around the world. I want to encourage you to follow that example. I want to encourage you to set.
So now, of course, Dex and Birdie don't care about what your rank is. They don't care about how much money you're bringing them. They just value you. They value as people, and it doesn't matter what rank you are. We've heard Rich DeVos say that too. I don't care if you just joined. I don't care if you're at the top of the company. I love you. No, you don't. As we've heard Amway downline or Amway upline say, be very careful about who you give your attention to. Do not meet one-on-one with every single person in your downline. They have to earn your attention. So if that was true and everyone was equal, we cared and loved about everyone, we wouldn't have to earn the attention of our upline. Good call. Yeah, it was super distracting and the quotes were weird. Oh. And Anastasia or anyone else, have you guys been watching any PWHL games? If so, what team do you like? And who's your favorite player so far?
Goals. But I want to encourage you as well to make sure that you are focused on other people's goals. It's a balance, because the route to your success is by making sure we help other people achieve their success. I think that's a critical element of balance and an example that we've seen so very well. Well, the next thing I want to talk about briefly is free enterprise.
We have to focus on other people's goals so we can achieve ours. It's a balance. It's a balance. I did like how he said balance. He said it's a balance. I'm like, I like that. I like that accent. I think it's a cute accent. But us focusing on other people achieving their goals is us focusing on our business, because if people below us don't achieve their goals, don't get to certain ranks, we're not going to rank up. So it's the same thing, sir. Same thing.
That's a value that we put in place. And clearly, as we look around the world, it's a principle that has stood the test of time. My father and Jay Van Andel believed in the early days that people around the world deserved an opportunity to have a business of their own. And if given that opportunity, the power of individuals would be unleashed and they would do the work necessary to achieve great things. They started the business in 1959. Some of you may remember at that time as well was the time Fidel Castro took over Cuba. Since that time, Fidel Castro is still in Cuba, and our business has gone around the world. Bit of a difference, right?
Why are we comparing our business to Fidel Castro in Cuba? Fidel Castro is just in Cuba, and we're around the world because we're multi-millionaire. We are a billion-dollar company, and that's how we've expanded across the world. Why are we bringing that up? I don't understand. Do you guys understand? Toronto, of course, and Rebecca Leslie. Okay. I was first cheering for Toronto because I love Sarah Nurse, but I'm not into them right now. I'm not. I'm like, do I like them? I'm not sure. I feel like I might like Montreal more. I don't know if that makes me a bad fan, but my favorite player on Toronto so far, Jessie Comfer. I think she's fantastic and she's so fast. So fast. Can you guys explain the comparison between Amway's global expansion and Fidel Castro, I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Dexter and Birdie joined that cause. They stood up and they fought for free enterprise.
Lisa, this was recorded, they say 50 years. So let me do math. I can't do math. I'm sorry. Let's do math. 2009. Because it was the 50-year anniversary, and Amway started in 1959, so 2009. Oh yeah, it's so exciting to have teams at all, for sure, for sure. And it's cool. Like it was cool to see Elena Mueller play. It's cool to see what's her name? The woman from Japan. Connie Shiga, women from different parts of Europe play. It's super cool. Like, of course, it's cool to see the main Olympians, national players, but then also other players who, like, from other countries or who haven't broken into the national team program yet. It's really cool. Really exciting for sure. Yeah, I think Montreal and Ottawa are playing tomorrow. I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm so excited.
Prize. They stood up to be counted. They dedicated their lives to making sure that the principles of free enterprise were alive and well for everybody, everywhere in the world, whatever they could.
Dex and Birdie dedicated their lives to protecting the principles of free enterprise for everywhere, for everyone all over the world. That's a bit weird. This is our job. This is employment. Why are we focusing on political ideologies? It doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Lots of players. Yeah, it's so cool. So cool. And I actually saw Elena Mueller play in the bronze medal game when I was at the IIHF championships last year. And it was the coolest thing ever. It was the coolest thing ever. I loved seeing her. She's so talented. Okay, so Amway's about free enterprise. Fidel Castro was about the opposite of that. Okay, so maybe Fidel Castro's control didn't expand beyond Cuba because he didn't focus on free enterprise principles, and Amway blew up globally because of their focus on protecting the principles of free enterprise.
Do to reach out to people, they've done. And the whole point of free enterprise in our context is that it's not limited to just a business or a company, or it's not limited to just a product or something along those lines. It's really an idea, a feeling that's in the hearts of people around the world. That's what this business is. And the connection that happens when you dedicate yourself to unleashing the potential of people by simply giving them an opportunity and then giving them the support, the training, the guidance, the leadership that's necessary. Because the opportunity without the leadership and support, it may be too far out of people's grasp. So we're proud that you're here tonight. We're thrilled that you've taken the time to say, I want to learn more about this business. I want to be around other people who are talking about this business. I want to know what leaders are doing in this business so I can do the same. Especially those of you who are maybe relatively new. We welcome you. Those of you who may have been around this business for a while but may not have achieved all the things that you wanted to achieve yet, we welcome you. You can just get started every day. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to take that next step, to see that that opportunity is real and it's crystal clear for you, and that you can move forward and stand up for yourself.
Of course, everyone can find brilliant financial success in Amway. It's okay if you just started. It's okay if you've been here for a long time. We can help you, Dex and Birdie, with their support and their guidance, and you being in the room with them and other huge leaders in their downline. You too can make millions of dollars, even though you can't, because Amway's been alive for 50 years by this point, and everyone knows it's a scam, although I don't know if people would know in 2009 if it was a scam. But at least now it's going to be extremely hard to recruit the number of people you need to get to the very top of Amway. It's impossible now. The American way. Yes, Castro is part of the Communist Party in Cuba. It was just my brain. I didn't make the connection that like free enterprise and communism would be like are like at the opposite ends of the political spectrum. I didn't make that connection because I'm just thinking like, why are we talking about political ideologies at like a work conference. It seems a little strange, kind of like religion being talked about at a workplace that is not focused, that's not a church, that is not a faith-based organization. Why are we talking politics? Why are we talking religion, you know?
For your future and for this idea of creating a community of opportunity for people all over the world. All right? Well, the next value I want to relate is the value of partnership, of working together. And I think partnership is sometimes misunderstood because partnership is easy when things are going well. Especially at the beginning when things are going well, it's great, it's easy, we're all in this together, ain't it great? But what about when things aren't going so well? That's when partnerships get tested. That's when the true spirit and strength of a partner comes into play. And I've seen throughout my experiences in dealing with Dex and Birdie a strong desire to make sure that the relationships that they have with people in their lives are win-win relationships.
No, sure, maybe in day-to-day life with their kids or their best friends, sure, win-win relationships, but you can't have a win-win relationship in Amway as the downline of Dexter Yeager, because you have to lose for Dex to win. You do. And he's saying partnerships are tested when things are hard. So if you're losing money, if Amway is if Amway's the site of huge legal battles and people are leaving, you don't get to be sad. You don't get to wonder if you need to leave too. Your partnership's just getting tested. It's natural. It's a natural progression for a business owner. And we know that's not true. We know if your Amway business is falling apart, you probably need to think things through. You probably need to consider if you're in the right place and if you should be leaving. Okay, free enterprise, partnership. My God, do you guys remember what the other one was? I don't know. I don't remember. Heather, what do you really think? I think Doug annoys me. Do you guys remember what the first one was? I don't remember. I'm sorry.
So I think there's 3 stages of relationships that you can go through. Maybe when you're very young in life, you're completely dependent on your parents, right? Your relationship to your parents are dependent because they have to take care of you. And then as you get a little bit older, especially when you become a teenager, and I'm getting familiar with this because my kids are now becoming teenagers, they become independent. And they don't really want to listen to anybody. And they forgot that you took care of them all those years. And you can tell I'm a little bitter about this with my recent experiences. No, I won't go there. But that's a stage that we all have gone through, and we see that happening.
That's true. Relationships adapt, relationships change as we grow up, as our interests change. And I think you're comparing that to maybe the downline of Dex and Birdie's, their relationship with them, right? Because say you started in Amway and you were really good friends with Dexter and Birdie and you got along perfectly with them. And then after a little while, maybe the relationship sours. Maybe you realize that you don't want to just blindly follow what Dexter is telling you to do. You don't want to turn yourself into a mini Dexter. You don't want to take really valuable time away from your family and your friends. And then you start to push back a little bit. Oh, no, it's normal. Don't question your relationship. It's normal because relationships change, just like your relationship with your children change. I think this is a way to encourage people to to ignore their gut instincts and to just keep pushing through uncomfortable feelings, or maybe they're wondering why their upline is treating them in a certain way or telling them to do certain things, and they're wondering why they're told not to question anything and to just do exactly what their upline tells them. And that's not normal. Like if you're starting to question things, you shouldn't just brush it off with the idea that, oh well, relationships change. We should be analyzing the information that's available to us and determining whether or not we need to leave. My kids, blah blah. So relatable, right?
But the stage that I see Dex and Birdie leading, and I love to be part of with them, is what we call interdependence. where people rely on one another, when people can count on one another, when people build win-win relationships, not win-lose relationships, win-win relationships.
Can you rely on Dex and Birdie if you leave Amway and they're no longer financially benefiting off of your suffering? Probably not. I don't know them personally, in my opinion, but probably not from what we know about relationships in this industry.
Beneficial to all. You know, I read a story, and I thought about them, and as I went through the story, it was a story of a Special Olympics. And I read through Chicken Soup for the Soul. Many of you.
Okay, I've heard this story before in some kind of Amway video. I had to go back. I was like, did I do this video already? I went back and searched my Doug DeVos videos and then like my Dexter Yeager videos. I have not done this video, but just I'm sure I've heard one of the Amway top leader guys talk about this story before. So if you've watched my Amway streams, this might sound familiar to you. I don't like how he's connecting this lovely, like warm-hearted story to a incredibly predatory and unethical business model where he knows that the vast majority of people at that meeting underneath Dexter and Birdie at this time were losing money and suffering greatly for his benefit and Dexter's benefit.
You have read that book and may have even seen the story in the book. It was about a Special Olympics event where many mentally handicapped kids were participating in the 100-yard dash.
Of course, we don't say mentally handicapped now, at least generally that's not the greatest term, but yes, this was in a different time in 2009 when language was a little bit different. So let's just remember like the time period that this was in.
And as the race started, they all took off except one boy who tripped and fell right out of the blocks. And he scraped his knee and he started to cry, but the other racers were still going and he kept crying and the other racers heard him. The other racers all slowed down. All the competitors slowed down. And they turned around and they looked at the little boy and they saw him kneeling on the ground. They saw him crying. And every single one of them went back to the boy to help him out. Every single one, right? They leaned down or they kneeled down around him. A little girl with Down syndrome kissed him on the head and said, "There, that'll make it all better," even though it was his knee that was scraped.
So now we're comparing a story of children being lovely and supportive to like the Amway team, right? So children who are competing in the Special Olympics, they realize that one of their competitors fell and he's crying and he's hurt. And instead of just focusing on winning and getting ahead of the little boy who got hurt, they want to help him. This stupid light is bothering me, but that's so dark. Let's just make it. Is that any better? Sorry, friends. Instead of trying to win and get ahead of him and their competitors, they just want to help, right? So they go back and like the little girl kisses his knee or his head and they like help him up because they're not focused on winning. So in the Dexter and Birdie context, like Dex and Birdie don't care about winning. They don't care about being the best. They just want to help everyone. Well, if we were really interested in being charitable and helping those who are less privileged than us, we would not be in an MLM. We would not be the most famous Amway distributor known for lying to people, deceiving them to bring them into an incredibly unethical business structure where they're going to make no money. You can't compare the two. You can't, because an MLM team is not truly a team because they are all in direct competition with each other. You do not truly have real relationships, real genuine relationships with people on your team, like this story he's describing with the children. They are transactional relationships, and the second you leave, you are going to lose all of those friendships, right? Kids, young kids are just like Amway. So kind and charitable. So kind.
As they gathered around, they picked him up, and all the competitors were arm in arm and finished the race together to a cheering crowd, right?
You can't finish the race together in Amway because there's always going to be someone at the top of the pyramid. There's always going to be someone at the top. Who are there's a Hansen, Bernice Hansen. Was she one of them? Bernice Hansen, Amway. Founding families. Who followed Rich DeVos from Nutrilite? Because there was, I can't find it. There's a group of families who followed him to Nutrilite, and then one of them died recently, and she gave her business to 2 of her 3 daughters who are still alive today at the top of Amway. So you can't work together to win, because the top people who were in first are always going to be at the top. They're always going to be at the top. There's no way for everyone to cross the finish line together. Another myth that people aren't MLMs because they want to help people. Exactly. You think you made that story up? I wouldn't be surprised, Lori.
As I read that story the first time, I was just overwhelmed, but I began to think about the connections that we have in this business and the commitment to win-win relationships.
No.
And to making sure that in this business, you need to set your individual goals, you bet. But your path to achieving your goals is making sure you're bringing as many people with you as you can. That when people are hurting and when people are struggling, that you're turning back and you're going to help them and say, I'm going to help you get through this. And that's what I've watched Dexter and Birdie do my whole life. Continually reach to people to help them to achieve the levels that they never thought they could achieve.
He does mean his whole life, because he grew up in Amway, and he started working in Amway when he was like 20, and he saw Dexter and Yeager his entire life reach back and hold people's hands and help them succeed. He's not saying this because they are just so kind and charitable and amazing. He's saying this because they're at the top of the pyramid and contributing to the extremely extravagant lifestyle of the DeVos and the Van Andel families. That's the only reason he's saying this. And there's just such big connection, such community, such win-win relationships. That's all false. All false. In Dex's downline, for his downline, they are lose relationships. I feel like I've said that 100 times. Frustrated. I know Doug must be trying, but his voice and personality do not stir up enthusiasm in me. Same. Was it the Van Andels? What do you mean? Like the Van Andels and the DeVosses, they like co-founded Amway together. Is that what you mean?
And that brings me to my last point that I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about achievement. Because in this business, we do a lot of recognition of people's achievements. We want to cheer your achievements. We want to acknowledge and celebrate the great things that you do on a regular basis.
And the majority of that cheering on for your achievement is not for financial gain. It's not going to help you financially unless you're Dexter and Yeager and you're handed like $3 million in cash on stage.
And throughout our years in the business, we have continued to try to find ways to properly recognize and express our appreciation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew it. It was like, I have it in my notebook because I had these notes for the collab I did with the Clown Town. Okay, Nutrilite distributors moving to Amway. It's like the Hansens, the Dutts. Hansens and the Dutts. Hansen, Amway. Bernice Hansen. There you go. I'll show you this. This is the research I did when I was prepping for the Clown Town stream. Oh. Goodbye, Lori. Thank you for joining. Okay. Bernice Hansen was nearly 40 when in 1950 she hosted a Nutrilite meeting in her home led by Rich DeVos, then in his early 20s. Years later, in a 2010 interview, Bernice remembered thinking, what? This young kid is going to tell us how to start a business and make money? No way. Of course, 9 years later, this young kid, along with Jay Van Andel, would launch what would become one of the most successful network marketing businesses in the entire world. Her and her husband, Fred, were early distributors with Rich and Jay's basement business, having formed a relationship initially through Nutrilite. When we started out, Bernice recalled, we only had one product and one piece of literature, which Jay wrote and mimogrammed himself, so at that time, it only cost $1 to get into the business. The Hansons eventually built a team of tens of thousands of IBOs all over the globe and helped launch the IBOIA, which gave voice to distributors and transformed Amway for the millions of IBOs and distributors to follow in their footsteps. In fact, Bernice was one to suggest that distributors' heirs should be able to inherit the distributorship, one of the many facets of Amway that makes it a truly family-friendly business. The fact is even more poignant today. In late September, Bernice Hanson passed away at age 101, leaving her business to two of her three daughters, Karen DeBlay and Susan Ross, who were already profitable IBOs in their own right. So when was this written? I can't do math. When was it written? Because she was in her 40s in 1950. So she passed away when she was 101. So like 2010-ish, right? Am I doing the math correctly? 2010-ish. So in 2010-ish, two of her three daughters inherited her business. And if they're still alive today, which I'm sure they are, I don't know for sure, but if they're still alive, they are still at the top of the Amway pyramid, or their heirs are at the top of the Amway pyramid, right? Okay, where was I? They had already inherited the intangible lessons their remarkable mother had to teach, such as to always be an encourager of people, as Susan put it. She described her mother as always going the extra mile to support those who worked hard to make their business succeed. After Fred's passing, DeVos recently recalled, Bernice carried on their Amway business with extraordinary enthusiasm and unwavering integrity, helping thousands of other distributors around the world find success in achieving their dreams. In fact, within 10 years of losing her husband in 1968, Bernice became a top distributor. So you can't all make it to the top. We are not a team. We are not helping. We're not linking arms to advance in the Amway pyramid together. The Bernice Hanson family, her daughters, the heirs of her daughters, they're at the top. The heirs of Dex and Birdie Yeager are very close to the top of the pyramid. There's not space for everyone at the top. If you're at the top of the Amway pyramid, it's likely because you either followed DeVos and Van Andel from Nutrilite, or you were one of the first people in the door in Amway. Let me go back to share this tab instead. Isn't it interesting? So interesting. Yeah. And there's the Dutts as well, Dutts. And then there's one other family that followed them, but I don't remember who they were. It's in my other notebook.
For the great work that leaders have done. And something has always happened throughout our history. We've always aimed too low. Because there's some leaders in this business who are over the years that have always pushed the envelope, that have always found a way to set a new standard. And when we would say, well, here's the standard, and they'd go past it, they'd say, okay, what's next? And we go, oh, just a second, we'll get back to you. Well, a number of years ago, we kind of tried to get ahead of the game a little bit, and we implemented a new program, and it was many years ago now, called the Founders Achievement Award. Some of you may be familiar with what that is. I think it's probably 15 years ago now when we implemented that program. And it was great because what we could do in the program is just find a way to just keep putting out higher levels of achievement, far beyond where anyone ever could have been before.
Why are we putting out levels of achievement where we think no one's going to reach it? I asked that in that Amway video I did not years ago, a year and a half ago. And I remember someone very smartly said to be aspirational. So even if you think no one is actually going to get to 60 FAA points, Founders Achievement Award points, just make it a thing so people can push for it. And then when Dexter Yeager, after 40 years in the business, got his 60 FAA points, and then you can plop him on the stage and say, look, Dexter did it, so you can too. You just have to start in 1969 and stay in Amway for 40 years, and then you too can achieve this.
Or so we thought. Or so we thought. Dex and Birdie, throughout our history, have been the leaders to push the envelope. Dex and Birdie, throughout our...
They sure have. Have you heard, if you're on my channel, we've done a few Dexter videos. Have you heard his speeches? He screams. It's like he's preaching. He talks about God. He screams diamond in our faces. He screams 5 to 6 nights a week in a hypnotic voice. He sounds like a cult leader, in my opinion. He sure does push the envelope. He sure does, but not in a positive way.
History have been the ones to continue to work and be dedicated and committed to pushing themselves to be the best that they could be, to come to work every day dedicated, to have an attitude of just getting started, and be building win-win relationships with people all over the world to make sure they were successful too. But tonight I want to focus on Dex and Birdie, and indeed the entire Yeager family, because they've accomplished something that I don't think you know about yet, or at least I hope you don't know about yet, because that would ruin the surprise. We have many great leaders in this business, and many have achieved significant levels of success. But nobody in this business anywhere in the world has ever achieved the level of 60 FAA points, right?
I wonder why. Because it's hard. FAA points Amway. It's hard to do. 60 FAA points is hard. I did research on this for the stream with the Clown Town, and of course now when I have people looking at me, I can't find it. As I said earlier, if you have people of certain ranks that you directly recruited yourself, you get a certain number of points. They're not that many points. It's like 1 for an emerald, 3 for a diamond or something. So you need to have a shit pile of direct recruits underneath you who are hitting and maintaining certain ranks. So Dexter and Birdie got handed $3 million in cash on stage and countless other extravagant, useless prizes because their downline hit and maintained a certain rank. Why am I annoyed? It's fine. Calm down.
And I think you should welcome the newest qualifiers with 60 FAA points. Could you help me welcome and recognize Dexter and Birdie Yeager? And the entire Yeager family, Jeff Doyle and Steve. I think everyone's back there somewhere. I think they're back there somewhere. Everybody can see us. Huh?
Okay.
All right. Now, I just want to, I was told personally by Rich to make sure I did this right. And he gave a preview because he called you guys a little while ago to check in and say congratulations as well, didn't he?
So for those who might want to see the continuation of that speech, let me just, what did I name it? Dexter. I think I literally called it Dexter Wins All the Money, because he was just calling the Dexter and Birdie's sons onto the stage. And then, yeah, I'll type it in here. Dexter Wins All the Money is literally the title of it. And yeah, we heard, oh, just come on here, come over here. And then like he'll start to hand over the prizes. And in that video too, I go into good detail about the FAA Founders Achievement Award program. And so if you're interested in that, you can go take a look. So what did we learn today? we learned that Dexter and Birdie really exemplify the attitude and the principles of free enterprise, because they want everyone in their community to succeed on their own terms, to do it independently, to not seek out charity or assistance from anyone else. We learned that Amway is better than Fidel Castro because Amway is a global business. And in 2009, Fidel Castro was still in Cuba. What else did we learn? We learned that relationships change, just like the relationship with your children change. And so if your relationship with Dexter and Birdie randomly goes like turns sour, it's okay, because relationships change, and you just have to continue being a really good downline and doing what they're told so you can build your business and make them more money. We learned that Dexter and Birdie don't care about winning. They care about helping their downline achieve their goals, and they're going to hold our hands and bring us all to the top of the pyramid together. Even though we learned that the heirs of Bernice Hansen, they are the ones who are likely still at the top of the pyramid, because you can inherit your Amway business from your parent or your grandparent who passes away. So we learned that's not the case, and you can't compare children being nice to each other when they're competing in a race to an Amway team when everyone is in direct competition with each other and everyone wants to beat everyone else. Did I miss anything? My friend was in Amway for a year, and the speakers would say they were late for meetings because they lost diamond jewelry and had to stop and look for it. Always diamond. That's cringy. Yeah, we learned that Amway is better than Castro. Of course. Did we forget anything? I feel like that's probably it. This was so fun. Thank you to the people who hung out with me and watched this entire thing, or who came to visit. I had a really, really fun time. I'm going to go live again on Sunday. I don't know what I want to do. I've been trying really hard to think of different strange topics because I want to cover things that are not covered usually. So I can't. I was talking to my therapist about it and how I'm looking for like a different angle. And he's like, well, what about the tax status of MLMs? Like, is there any tax advantages to having this business structure? I'm like, I don't think I can talk about taxes, but maybe. But I found a topic that could be a good topic that's a little bit different. And so I'm going to look into that and see if it could be a video. Thank you, Lisa. Can the inheritance go to the next generation too? How many generations can inherit it? I don't know. That's a great question. I'm sure, so it's the children of Bernice Hansen who inherited the business in 2010, and I'm sure their children could also inherit it as well. So the Hansens could just be at the top of the Amway pyramid forever. Good question. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you. Thank you for joining. This was awesome. And we'll see you all on Sunday if you're free. And I hope you have a great evening. Bye.